Welcome back to the Badass Literature Society, where badasses come together to rate and review novels recommended by you. Hi, I'm Michael.
This is Barbara.
I'm Lauren.
Welcome to a special bonus episode. Today we are diving into the fascinating world of book adaptations. Join us as we explore the journey of books brought to life on the screen, discussing the successes, challenges, as well as some of our favorite adaptations. First, we're going to talk about some of the most beloved adaptations of all time, highlighting some that we're especially fond of and or those that stay especially true to the original work.
My first one that I thought of when I thought of this was The Hunger Games. I really, really enjoyed the books, and technically I don't feel like there's really any series or TV series or movies that really stay true to the original works. I just feel like that's really hard because you're comparing two different mediums. Like you have a book medium and TV/movie medium. And I just feel like if you were to do like page to page for an adaptation, you just wouldn't feel the same. So I feel like judging that for that is kind of hard to do. But for me, The Hunger Games, I think they did a really good job. I think the casting was amazing. I think what they did with what they could was really good. There are little things here and there that I wish they would have done better, but I feel like the book was so much more graphic, and so for them to have done that for the movie would have had to been rated R, honestly, because it's so graphic in the books. And the one thing I remember is from the first book when the creepy dog mutations come and attack them, they're literally made out of the dead children. Like, you can't do that in the movie. Like, that would scar actual children, you know? Like, it's
not
just
a PG-13 movie anyway.
No, like, you just can't, you know? And it's more bloody and stuff like that. Like in the second one, when she's running away from like the fog, it's talking about like boils and all this stuff that it does. It's just like some stuff you just can't do that with it still being rated what you wanted to rate. So
No.
I understand why they did that, but I think the overall message of the books came across really well. I think Jennifer Lawrence was I think she's an amazing actress. I've always enjoyed her. I freaking love that she was casted for this because I had already loved watching her in like these indie movies that I had seen her in. So I really, really enjoyed The Hunger Games. I think it was one of the better adaptations of one of my beloved book series.
I definitely agree with that one. I enjoyed The Hunger Games. I haven't seen all of the movies and I haven't read all the books, but I watched the first movie a while ago and you convinced me to read the first book using a similar pitch to what you just gave. He's like, it's actually like really violent and it's a hard R, and I didn't believe you. And then I read it and it is 100%. I think I liked the book better than the movie a little bit. But
well, you're going to have, that's normally going to happen. There's like a few select ones.
We're going to talk about some later that are not that way. But so my first one is probably not going to be shocking to anybody listening or the two of you. The Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit film series, or even
not the Hobbit.
I'm just saying like the entire Tolkien thing, like the movies with Peter Jackson, the animated Hobbit, the newer Hobbit trilogy that's maybe not quite as good as the other ones, the new TV show on Prime Video. But I mean, mainly this is referring to the original trilogy that Peter Jackson did of the Lord of the Rings movies, which were incredible. And most of them, I think all three of them actually won awards. The Return of the King won Best Picture that year, which is pretty awesome for a fantasy movie to win. Yeah. But I mean, I think that they're fantastic. I love them. I own the Blu-rays. I owned the DVDs. Barbara talked me into getting rid of the DVDs when we moved. I love them.
Yes, we need DVDs and Blu-rays and 4Ks and all the things. I mean, soon you're going to be like, where's the VHS version of this?
I watch them like probably once a year, to be honest, just Lord of the Rings ones. But yeah, they're great. And I think they're, as far as like, true to the book, there's definitely some changes, but they're relatively true to the books for the most part.
So I felt like the most beloved for myself was Harry Potter. Not necessarily for staying true to the books. Obviously, some of the adaptations were more, accurate than others.
The first two were very,
yes,
very, very accurate for the most part.
Yeah. I feel like it's such a hard thing like that, and with, Lord of the Rings even, and some of the other longer book adaptations because like you're gonna have stuff that gets left out, or like some people like, oh, my favorite scene was left out, and it's like with that length of a novel slash series, you're gonna leave stuff out. Also, like Princess Diaries was one of my most beloved adaptations of all time.
I was gonna
And
ask you because the movies are so well. The first movie,
just
okay,
the
but the
first
second
movie, I
movie
don't know
has
about
nothing to
no.
do with the book series, like whatsoever.
No, I'm more talking about the first one.
The first one, yeah.
So the Princess Diaries book was one of my favorite books as a kid to read, and I read it and reread it, like kind of like Harry Potter. And the movie was very accurate to the book, and it was really well done. I haven't seen it in years, but I would probably still go back and watch it. And
You
then
can
Fight
trust me when I
Club.
tell you that it is her favorite because it's the reason that I learned that you can watch a DVD so many times that you can wear it out, because Lauren watched the Princess Diaries DVD so many times that she had to get a new copy because it stopped playing.
It does happen, yes.
It's true. It happened to me. That was my jam. And then Fight Club, also one of my favorite movie book adaptations, and Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, I mean, I would echo the Harry Potter movies just because of like generational growing up with them. Obviously, there are things that they had to do differently. There are things that I wish they didn't add, or things I wish they would have had. One of my biggest complaints, though, was the butchering of certain characters that they kind of did, but like it's hard because these books were so massive, and trying to condense them into like a 2-hour movie, like just you're going to have to cut things, and unfortunately it's going to be the side characters still. So, but one thing I wish they wouldn't have done was they gave some really good lines from Ron from the books to Hermione, and I don't feel like people noticed that they did that. Like some of the better lines were from Ron. Like
Yes.
one thing that I remember distinctly that I still get so mad about is in the books, in the first one, during the devil's snare, Hermione's the one who freaks out and is like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? And Ron's like, are you a witch or are you a witch? Like, use your wand, like we can figure this out. And then she's like, oh yeah, okay, like a light source. And then in the movies he's like, and she had to do it all. I'm like, come on, like, I wish, because you don't see as much of a character growth for her in the movies, because like she was always super smart. I'm not saying that she was never smart, but like sometimes in these moments she would freak out, and it was the other two that would be like, okay, Hermione, come on.
Yeah, Ron definitely got the shaft on that.
Yeah, poor Ron. I feel like they butchered, like they made him the comedic character, and he is in the books for sure, like, but like he also has his moments, and that's why people fell in love with his characters. Not to say that his movie version wasn't great, like he was, but anyways, that's.
I mean, I'm with you there. Ron was my favorite character reading the books. Of the trio, anyway. I like the three of them. He was my favorite.
Anyways, my other favorite of all time is Holes. I loved the book. Absolutely loved the book. And then when I heard that they were making a movie, I was like, oh. And then they made the movie, and I freaking love the movie. It's such a good movie. It's crazy to go back then and watch it and like recognize all these actors, I'm like, because as a kid, you're like, I don't care about actors, but now, except for like Shia LaBeouf, because he was a Disney kid, I'm like, oh my God, Shia LaBeouf. And now it's like, oh God, Shia LaBeouf. But yeah, absolutely loved the book. I loved how the movie, like they created it. I don't really have any gripes on that one. I thought they did a really, really good job of it.
It was a good movie. I haven't seen that for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of want to go back and watch it after we talked about it the other day.
Oh, really?
These notes together. Yeah.
Maybe it's streaming somewhere. Who knows?
Could be. So other ones for me that are some of my most beloved adaptations, The Shining, incredible movie, incredible book, relatively close to the source material. But still, it really, I think it's still one of the scariest movies. And it's like a lot of times when you get to sit down and watch these older horror movies that you loved and were scary when you first watched them, they're not so scary as when you watch them today. But I feel like The Shining holds up. It's one of those rare horror movies from that era that still holds up and is still scary today. Lauren mentioned the Hannibal Lecter series, or I think she said Silence of the Lambs. I absolutely love the books. Thomas Harris's Hannibal Lecter series is incredible. Red Dragon is my favorite book. It's actually also my favorite movie, which if you aren't familiar with, that's the first book in the book series, and technically chronologically the first movie as well. It's just not the first movie that got made. But yeah, they're all fantastic with the exception, and I have to say this for people that are also Hannibal Lecter fans: Hannibal Rising, Thomas Harris's book, very good. Movie adaptation, not so good.
Mm. I never read those books either. Did you ever watch the TV series that they made of
I
this?
did. I really liked it. I really liked. Oh, what is this? I can't think of his name now. I keep want to say Le Chiffre because that's the bad guy he plays in Bond. But what is that actor's name? Mads Mikkelsen. Mads Mikkelsen plays a phenomenal Hannibal Lecter. I was very hesitant because those are big shoes to fill. Anthony Hopkins being the
Anthony Hopkins.
yeah, but Mads Mikkelsen did a really good job. I enjoyed the show. Canceled too soon, in my opinion. Jurassic Park was another one that I mentioned. Huge movie. I really enjoyed the book. I thought Michael Crichton did a great job writing that series, both the Jurassic Park and the Lost World. I think Jurassic Park, the book and the movie, are close, and I really enjoyed both of them. I think the Lost World, his book was better than the movie because they kind of Hollywooded it. I'm trying to go with a better verb, but they made some changes that they thought would make the movie more exciting. But I think the book was actually
is that the
a
Chris
better
Pratt
story.
version?
No, so that's Jurassic World. Those are original. Those weren't based on. I mean, they're based on Michael Crichton's world, technically, I guess, that he built. But no, the Lost World is the second Jurassic Park movie where they're on a different island, and no.
I think I've only ever seen the OG Jurassic Park movie.
No.
Also, didn't read the books.
I enjoy the Jurassic Park movies as well as the books. And then the last one I'll mention is No Country for Old Men. This one, I will admit, I was not familiar with the book until I saw the movie. It was an absolutely incredible movie. And so I was like, oh man, I figured out it was based on a book. I had to read this. Cormac McCarthy wrote the book. It's fantastic. The book and the movie are both incredible. The Coen brothers did an amazing job adapting that book to the screen. It's surprisingly close. I wouldn't say it's like page for page, but yeah, both very good. If you're into, I think that'd be considered like a neo-Western thriller, since it's like a Western-esque plot, but it takes place in modern times.
Never even heard
really
of the word
enjoyable
neo-Western.
That's a genre.
Okay, well, that's news to me.
Oh, and the last one, because I decided to move it up, the Terminal List, the Jack Carr series that is, I've read 3 of the books now. I really enjoy the books. I think Amazon Prime did a really good job with the TV show. Chris Pratt is the lead actor in that. They made after, so I was, again, there's another scenario where I watched the TV show and then decided to go read the books. The book was better, and the TV show was very entertaining. But after reading the book, I think I liked some of the stuff I liked some of the stuff they changed, and I didn't like some of the stuff that they changed. There's pros and cons there, but I highly recommend the book series if you're into to that kind of a story. It's definitely thrilling, military thriller. Very, very exciting books if you're into that. Barbara's not, so she'll never read those books. But all right, so now we're going to talk about the hits and the misses. That means which adaptations we think are better than their original source material and which ones we think fell short. We already mentioned some, but these are sort of some special ones we think fell short.
So for me, I think Shadow and Bone, the TV series, is much better than the book. I read the first book in preparation to watch the TV series. And granted, I haven't read the Crow one. What is it called?
I can see the cover, but I can't think of the
name. The one that the heist group is based off of. I haven't read that one, and I know it's completely different timeline than the Shadow and Bone series. So I know a few people were kind of angry that they kind of incorporated that into the TV series. I didn't mind it. I liked it. But once again, I haven't read the book, so I don't know from what got removed from the books or like that timeline. I have no idea. But this is strictly just from the Shadow and Bone, the first one. I hated the main character from the books. I thought she was super whiny and not great, and I freaking really liked her in the TV series. it's probably because like the book is first person, and I already have an issue with first person if you can't write a good character, because that's all you're getting to see. Whereas in the TV series, you get to see like different perspectives and different characters and that sort of thing. So I enjoyed that a lot more. She just was not very likable in the book. I feel like the whole time she was just like, "Whoa, it's me, and I like this guy, and but now this guy here, and I like him." And I'm like, "Oh my god!" But it's definitely a product of its time, because this was like circa first person narrative that everyone was writing about. It was love triangle at its worst. It was all the little tropey things that like we grew up with, you know, that the Hunger Games did 20 times better and people try to copy. So no fault in that, but I definitely like the TV series a lot better than the book.
Gotta agree with you there.
I don't think I ever read that.
Most people say skip that trilogy and just start off with the one that
Six
I'm
of
kind of
Crows is the
Six
other
of
one.
Crows. Everyone says like after the Six of Crows, the series gets a lot better, because that one's a duology and that one is not first person perspective. And then she started another. I don't know if it's a duology or
It is a duology, I believe.
is it?
King of Scars.
Yeah, yeah. And everyone says that one's really good as well. So I don't know. Just I
I
would
looked
say
at
just
reading it. I just never did, and then I guess I'll take it off my
yeah.
TBR.
Yeah. I would say if you're gonna read the book, just it gets better. Just the first one's not great. So
All right, so the one I've got for a hit, it's hard to say like it's better than the source material because it's different, but I really liked this adaptation. So the Jack Reacher novels by Lee Child, really enjoyed the books. The Tom Cruise movies, not so much. They were entertaining, but when Amazon Prime put out their first series or first season of the show called Reacher with Alan Ritchson playing Reacher, oh, it was so good. It was such a good show. It was a perfect adaptation of the character from the book. I think in some ways it was better than the book because they did, since they were telling a little bit older story, they modernized it a little bit, and I enjoyed what they did. They did a really good job adapting it. I can't wait to watch more of it. It speaks a lot that Alan Ritchson, when he got the part, went home and read all. I think it's either 17 or 27 Jack Reacher novels, but he read all of them, and he said he wouldn't film the wouldn't film the season until he'd read every book so he could really understand the character, and he did a great job.
I feel like I struggled with the misses more than the hits because, or I guess, sorry, vice versa of that. This is a weird worded question. So I tend to be a person that always thinks the books are better than the movies. Just because like if I read a book before I read a movie, I guess I should say, or before I watch the movie. And I think that's more just because like I get to imagine it all, and like I picture the characters looking a certain way, and then like they don't, or they do, or whatever. But one instance where I felt like the books were better than the movies was Twilight, and I know that that's a wildly unpopular because just people hate both, right? Or
I
love
mean,
both.
they're campy as F.
They're very campy. I liked them as a 15-year-old, right? Like
Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
read the books, and like
Yeah.
a friend and I
Same.
were reading them together, and we were like all about like, oh, what chapter are you at? Yeah, like we liked them. And then the movies came out, and I was so disappointed by who they
Oh
cast
yeah.
so well. Like it was basically Kristen Stewart. Like she ruined it for me.
You know, I used to think the same way you did, where I thought it was her fault that it
It's
was
probably cast. It's probably like written that way.
it's written that way. Like that's
Yeah.
what literally, and then I saw these things and people were saying like this was how she was written. And then going back to the books, I'm like, it was like, no offense to Stephanie, but she is an awful writer. It is not greatly written. It is awful. Like I watched these TikToks and people are like, I didn't realize how many times Edward what was it, smirked, or like there's a thing that
Yes.
he always constantly doing, and it was like someone doing like he smirked, he smirked, he smirked, he smirked, and it was just like,
I think if I went back and read the books as an adult, like I would see how cringy they were. But as a
yeah,
teenager, I ate it up, right? But
oh
then,
yeah,
and I
oh
don't
yeah,
think it was necessarily the actress's fault. Maybe I get what you're saying with that. But even
yeah,
like, I thought that they cast some of like the vampires or whatever well, but like I just felt like it just wasn't it.
I mean,
I don't know.
she's not a great character. She's very boring. Like she's very dull and a
And
boring
obnoxious.
character, and that's what and that's kind of what Kristen's had
That's
to
true.
work with, because she's
But she
actually,
is a great actress.
she's a great actress. Like you go and see her in other things, you're like, holy crap! Like she's a really good actress. So it's like she was working with what she had. It was not a lot.
Yeah, that's fair. Or maybe they like production like told her, you're supposed to be like very plain and very like
Right.
monotone and very like
Right, because
blank.
that's how she's written in the books. If you go back, Lauren, I swear, if you go back and read those, you would pick up on that.
I
But
probably would.
like the same thing. Like I read these when I was really young. Of course, I like joined the craze like everyone else did. So like I get it. And like the first, if I'm not mistaken, the first movie had a very tiny budget because they weren't sure if it was going to do well. The book series hadn't blown up as like it kind of did and turned into this whole phenomenon.
That makes sense.
And then they even said, like, I remember watching something where they said like they had no idea it was gonna turn into what it did, and so like they had a very small budget in the beginning, and then it kind of blew up. And
Just
I mean,
like
it's kind of sad when even the actors hate the movies,
right.
Like,
well, and I think for Edward's character, right? I don't know. Like he wasn't what I pictured, right? But like they never are. So I can get beyond that. But also just like his like tweaking face that he would do, like, and like his like bug eyes that he would do, like whenever he's like fighting the urge to like jump
not
on
kill
her
her
or
because
whatever.
he's a
Right.
monster, Bella.
And then it's just so like
he's also a great actor. So
he is. It's a bad script, man. The whole thing is awful, and I'm not trying to bash Twilight. It is what it is. I was in the hype, it's whatevs. But man, like you have to like take off the rose-colored glasses and see how bad the books were written, and because of that, how bad the script was written.
I kind of want to go back and reread just a couple chapters just to see, because I'm sure it's super cringy. And then even when I do look back at the plot, it's cringy. Like we're teaching these like young girls that are reading this book. It's like, you should be willing and excited to die for someone's love and to totally like ruin your entire future in life.
I have not read those books. I have unfortunately seen the movies, but I have not read the books.
You're not really missing out.
It doesn't sound like it. Like this was not a positive review.
In my defense, I was obsessed with vampires, and this was a vampire book, and I picked it up for that. And the cover was really cool. Like it had all the semblance of like things that I liked. And I just remember reading it and being like, oh, and then it turned into this thing, and I was like, well, I guess I better follow. I don't want to be the only one. Another one where I think the movie was better than the book, and this is a very unpopular opinion. I'm probably gonna get flack for this, but I don't even care. I already get flack anyways. What's more, is the Stardust movie, and I feel like that is an awful thing to say, but it's hard to compare because the book is very different from the movie, but I feel like after reading the book, and I enjoyed it just fine, which is weird because it's a Neil Gaiman book, and like he's an amazing author, and I love all his other stuff. It's just this one, I just really, I don't know, I was just about it. And then I watched the movie, and I actually enjoyed the movie a lot more because I feel like the characters brought more life to the characters from the page. I liked the whimsical sense of it and all this other parts of it. And I also didn't like the ending of the book. I enjoyed, and they completely changed the ending from the movie to the book or vice versa. And I actually enjoyed the movie ending a lot better. And once again, I feel like this is a very unpopular opinion. I feel like most people did not like the movie because I don't hear a lot of people even mentioning this movie anyways. But that's just mine. I actually really enjoyed the movie a lot better than I did the book. The book was a little disappointing to me, which is weird because I've loved all his other books that I've read, and this one was just an outlier, I guess, for me.
It's the one I have not read of his. I've not read Stardust, nor have I seen the movie.
Well, you haven't read Coraline either, nor have seen
True.
the movie.
Nope, that's very true. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Also great too.
My bulky blender was such a pain to use, I ended up hardly ever using it at all. But the BlendJet 2 portable blender makes blending so easy and convenient, I use it just about every day. BlendJet 2 is portable, so you can blend up a smoothie at work, a protein shake at the gym, or even a margarita at the beach. It's small enough to fit in a cup holder, but powerful enough to blast through tough ingredients like ice and frozen fruit with ease. BlendJet 2 is whisper quiet, so you can make your morning smoothie without waking up the whole house. It lasts for 15 plus blends and recharges quickly via USB-C. Best of all, BlendJet 2 cleans itself. Just blend water with a drop of soap and you're good to go. With over 30 plus colors and patterns to choose from, there's a BlendJet 2 to complement just about any style. I rock the ruby metallic print myself because I'm clearly a certified badass. What are you waiting for? Go to blendjet.com and grab yours today, and be sure to use the promo code BADALitPod12. That's BADALitPod12 to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. No other portable blender on the market comes close to the quality, power, and innovation of the BlendJet 2. They guarantee you'll love it or your money back. Blend anytime, anywhere with the BlendJet 2 portable blender. Go to blendjet.com and use the code BADALitPod12 to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. Shop today and get the best deal ever.
Okay, so the other one that I wrote down that adaptation is better than the source material, and this comes with some caveats that I'll explain, but the James Bond series, I think that the movies are better than Ian Fleming's novels in some ways. Ian Fleming really was James Bond. Like, he was a badass spy for
Legit, like
for
he
Britain.
was.
Yes, he
Oh, I
legitimately
had no
was.
idea.
And so if you read his, like, if you have a chance, you two or people that are listening, there's a really phenomenal documentary that was done about Ian Fleming's life, and it's like he was a really interesting guy, and he pretty much was James Bond. And so I like the movies better though because I don't love Ian Fleming's writing style. I don't think he was a incredible writer to me, very subjective. But the books are better in the sense that because of the time, they had to tone down a lot of the content for the films. So the books have a lot more violence in them. They have a lot more sex in them too. They have a lot more. They also have a lot more just like
More
the spy.
sex. I mean, I feel like the movies are like encroached with.
The movies are. I mean, there's sex in them, but they're pretty tame. Because if you look at it like in today's lens, like
he's a
what you see
man
in like
whore. How's
HBO,
that tame?
like it's nothing compared.
Are you talking about like you don't see like boobs and stuff?
It wasn't very graphic. It was mostly innuendos in the movies, the old movies anyway. But the books also had a lot more spy and intelligence elements that were more realistic than what we saw in the movies. So pros and cons to both, but I think the movies are just slightly better to me just because personally I don't love Ian Fleming's writing style, and I find when I tried to read them, I found some of them hard to read for me. Okay, so let's move on to the misses.
Well, I talked about Twilight, so my only other one was Me Before You by Jojo Moyes, or however you say her last name. I really liked the book, and I just didn't like the movie. I don't know, and it could be an unpopular opinion. I felt like it was very, like, it was kind of stuck with the canon, but like, I don't know if it was the casting or if it was just the pictures that I had in my head just did not line up at all, and I just didn't like it. I know a lot of people did like it, so that's literally just my personal opinion.
I never read the book, but I freaking love the movie. So, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I have nothing to base it off of because I never.
I think
read the
I
book.
would have liked the movie better if I hadn't read the book.
Yeah, but I also like Emilia Clarke, and I think she's a fun. Like, I love her as an actress, and I think her little cute bubbly personality in that movie was like, yay. But like I said, I have no idea. I never read the book, so maybe I would be severely disappointed had I read the book. Things that I thought was terrible adaptation, for me, my number one to this day is Aragon. That was freaking awful. Like, oh my gosh, awful. The movie had nothing to do with the books. And I'm not even saying I liked the book. Like, the book was just fine. I never really got into the book series like everyone else did. I thought it was just okay. And this is coming from the girl who freaking loves, like, dragon books, clearly, because, you know, this is a thing that you guys make fun of me for. And I just, the books were okay. They were fine. I enjoyed it, but not as much, I feel like, as everyone else really, really enjoyed it. So, but even someone like me who was like, oh, okay, the books are just fine, freaking hated the movie. Like, the movie had nothing to do with the books. There's some random uncomfortable teenager and like falling in love with an actress that was like way, 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 way older than him. That was not any remotely in the book. I don't know. It's just, it had nothing to do with it. It was just like, meh, here's let's just slap Aragon on it and hope to God people watch it. It had nothing to do with the book. It was not great at all. Absolutely hated it. And I'm pretty sure I'm in the majority of this. I don't think I've ever met someone who's enjoyed the movie, to be honest with you. So that's definitely one of mine.
So I only came up with one miss where the adaptation was much worse than the source material, and it is The Wheel of Time. The adaptation on Prime Video of Robert Jordan's epic fantasy series.
I thought you liked the TV.
So, and I'm getting there.
Oh, sorry.
I liked
continue.
the TV series as its own entity, but you have to go into it like that. If you go into it as a fan of the books and say, I cannot wait to see this book that I love so much on the screen, you're going to have a bad time because they changed a lot. And they aren't just like, I'm not going to say anything about the changes because they're spoilers for those of you that haven't read or want to read and haven't, whatever. They changed a lot. And it's not just like minor things they cut out. Like, they changed entire plot points that are going to affect things way down the line in other books that are totally different than Robert Jordan's books were. So again, it was an entertaining series. I enjoyed watching it, but I feel like if you're going to watch it, you have to go in knowing that it's a separate thing. Like, my friend who got me into these books hated it. Straight up said, like, he's not going to watch the second season. He has no interest in it because they changed so much and he's out. So, I mean, it just depends. I think a lot of people really didn't like it. We'll see if they can redeem themselves in season 2, but it's going to be hard to, since they changed. Like, a lot of what people didn't like is the plot points that changed, and it's not like you can just like be like, oopsie, and go back.
Yeah. I mean, you can. It's just going to make it worse.
Right. At that point, it would just make it worse.
I mean, I thought it was fine since you made me watch it, but like, I never read the book, so I have nothing to compare it with. So.
Right.
For what it was fine. It wasn't like, ooh, but you know, I've got a lot of misses. I got a lot of misses. I can go on a tangent about misses on book adaptations. Like the Divergent series. First off, it's another one of those where I really liked the books were fine. The first one was good. I really liked the first one. The second one, okay. And then I'm not gonna spoil it. I mean, it's been years, so it's whatever, but I won't spoil it. But the ending of the Divergent books was one of those moments where, like, if I threw books against walls, that book would have been one I threw, because I was like, what the F did I just freaking read? Like, it was such a cool premise, and then you just effed it up with this crap. It was freaking god awful.
I loved that series, but I'm with you on that.
Yes, like, it was really, like, I enjoyed the series up and then, and I was just like, what the heck did I just, okay. Like, the third one kind of was like, okay, maybe we'll swing back in here, and the fourth one was just like, what the heck. Anyway, or the third one, sorry, there's 3, it's 4, well, it was supposed to be 4 movies. Let's get to the frickin' movies. Those movies were awful. Awful, awful, awful. And it sucks because they had such good actors, too. Like, the potential was there. They changed quite a few things from the books.
They were number 1, by the way, on the list that I looked at when I was referencing this question. It was the top, like, the worst adaptation of all time.
It's awful. Like, you know, like, the source material was decent, but, like, what was that? To the point where they broke up the third book into 2 parts, trying to, like, do, you know, like, the Hunger Games and Harry Potter did for the last book. That's why I was thinking there was 4 books when there's really just 3. So they try to do that. No one liked the third movie, part 1. They didn't even film the ending of the series. They didn't even finish it. Like, if you like those movies, sucks to suck, because you don't have an ending.
Better go out and buy the book.
Yeah, which has nothing to do with the movies, so you're screwed either way. Like, they didn't even some people thought they were going to turn it into a TV series to finish it. They didn't even do that. They literally just quietly said nope and axed it. And I'm like, that can't be good if you're not even finishing it. It's a part 1. Like, that's terrible. That is not a good look, and I feel so bad for the actors involved. And man, they should have just stuck with just making the third movie into just one whole, like the book into one whole movie and left it at that. But like cash grab, they try to get as many people in the seats, and that's what you get.
So another one I've got that I thought was a miss is actually a book we reviewed on the podcast previously, The Girl on the Train. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
We did. Fantastic book. But when I read that they were making a movie, I remember telling you, Barbara, like, I don't know how this is going to translate to a movie because
internal.
Right. The whole thriller takes place inside her head for the most part, and it didn't. And we saw the movie, and it didn't. It did not. Which is
once again, like they had a really good actress or actors in it. It wasn't the actor's fault. It was terrible. Yeah, that is another bad one. My other one, and this is kind of like with Michael and the Wheel of Time. So I really enjoyed the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. That's a mouthful book. I obviously have read all of them. And I think the problem with this was when they started this movie, only the first book had come out. I don't even think the second one had come out, and then the third one, in the original just 3, and then he added 3 more after the fact. And then I feel like the movie got delayed and delayed and delayed, and all these things happened, and then they made, like, the second book had come out, and I think maybe even the third one had come out by the time the movie finally came out. I don't really remember the timeline, and obviously you guys can take this with a grain of salt. I don't really remember, but they like try to condense all 3 books into one movie, and it didn't. I don't know why they did that, and I don't know if that's because like originally it was just the first book that had come out, so they weren't sure how they were going to end this or what. I don't really know what the heck happened, but like they ended the movie like there weren't any more books or any more movies to go, which I thought was really weird. They changed all the kids' powers around, their ages around. That made no sense. I didn't like that they changed that because like their peculiarity powers, whatever you want to call it, like kind of fit their personalities. And so to change that really changed the characters. And like I said, like they completely like flipped the switch like halfway through the movie that had nothing to do with the books whatsoever. It's unfortunate because they have such really good actors in this, and it's is it Tim Burton? I think it was. No.
Yeah, Tim Burton did it.
Is it Tim Burton?
I'm pretty sure. I'll have to look, but I'm like 99% sure.
Yeah, I think it is Tim Burton. And like he has his own spin. He has decent like movies and stuff. And it was just so weird that he did this to the series. But like if you just looked at that movie without it comparing it to the books whatsoever, it's not a bad movie, like really. But like the source material that it got the ideas from, just it did not do it for me. But like the movie by itself, I enjoyed it because like I love Eva Green. I think she's an amazing actress. And then the 2 main guys, Asa Butler, I think, or Butter or something. But I think it's Butler. I don't know. Huh?
Asa Butterfield.
Yes. Him, and then the girl that plays his love interest in the movie, she plays Jackie in Yellow Jacket. I forget her name off the top of my head, but like they're all really good actors. It's just not for the book adaptation. I feel like they really like Tim Burton took it and like wanted to put his spin on it, and this was a miss for me if you're comparing it to the book. Overall, it's not a bad movie. It's just didn't really have much to do with the book, the source material for me.
And this is one where I get to do what you did for me on Wheel of Time. I've never read the books, but I did watch the movie with you, and I really liked the movie. Right. Yeah. I thought it was really good. So I have one last one that I remembered while we were doing this, and it is The Great Gatsby.
Which one?
The newest one, the Leo and Tobey Maguire one. The Great Gatsby is. I love The Great Gatsby. I really enjoyed reading that book in school.
I don't like.
I really did. And I think that the movie that they made, I mean, they clearly spent a lot of money. They have a bunch of big name actors. The movie looks beautiful. It's very stylish and stylized. But outside of that, they kind of took out a lot of the substance of the story, in my opinion. I think that I've only seen that one and the one that they made before that. I think there's like 4 adaptations.
There's a lot. Yeah, it's one of those that have been done quite a few times, I feel like. Wasn't there a TV series at too?
That something? I don't know. I've only seen the new one that I watched because I like Gatsby, and then the older one that was famous before because we watched that after we read the book in high school.
Right. Yeah.
Neither adaptation. I mean, they're both fine as movies, but not good adaptations of that story, in my opinion.
Honorable mention for me is that I Am Number 4 books that they tried to make into like the next Harry Potter, and they made the movie before like the book even came out, and it had nothing to do with the books. And I'm like, what the heck is this? There's another one.
So moving on from this, we're going to talk about some hidden gems. And by that I mean some adaptations that we think have flown under the radar, deserve more attention, and that you should absolutely go check out if you're into the book or the story sounds interesting.
I think The Perks of Being a Wallflower will always be one of my favorite adaptations. I really love the book. And it makes sense that the movies really, obviously there are changes because once again, the medium's just not the same. But I think the reason why it for me was so loved is because the actual author of the book, and I don't know how you say his name, so I'm not even going to attempt to say his last name, but he actually wrote, and I'm not sure if I don't know if he directed, but I know he wrote the screen adaptation for the movie. It's a smaller indie movie. I'm not even sure if like how well it did or anything like that, but I absolutely loved it. I think it was done really well. I think the actors were all really amazing in it.
Yeah.
I mean, so I love. Why is her name escaping me? The actress with Hermione, Emma Watson. I love her. I really do. But this is not her greatest work because her American accent wasn't quite there just yet. So you can kind of tell when her accent would kind of come in and out at times. And I feel like she's gotten a lot better as an actress outside of the Harry Potter movies. I feel like she might have, like, I still liked her portrayal there. I really enjoyed her, but I feel like she has grown as an actress, and you can really see that in this one. But overall, I really enjoy both the book and the movie. Is like, I really, really liked it.
It is a really good book and movie. I agree.
Have you read the books? I didn't know you read the book.
I have read.
Did I make you read it?
No, I read that in college, in a literature class in college. But I'd never seen the movie until you did make me watch the movie.
Yeah, it's so good.
It is good. So the one I picked for this for a hidden gem is Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, which is an older book. The book was written by John Le Carre, and the movie is relatively recent. Gary Oldman plays the lead character. Fantastic movie, fantastic book.
Didn't it win an Oscar? Didn't he win an Oscar for?
It did not. It was nominated. It was nominated for a couple Oscars.
No.
So Gary Oldman was nominated for Best Actor, and it was also nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay and Best Original Score, but it didn't win anything.
Oh, just kidding.
But it's a fantastic movie. It's a great adaptation because it's a story that, because of the intricacy of this Cold War espionage story, you can't make a lot of cuts, but they made the right ones. They took out some of the drier things from the book, and the movie tells the exact same story in a really good way, in my opinion. It was nominated for some awards, but it's not like it's a big blockbuster film. So I think for a lot of people, it went under the radar, unless you're a huge Gary Oldman fan like I am and watched it anyway. But I think it's great, and if you like me are into espionage and in movies about the intelligence organizations, in this case during the Cold War, it's absolutely worth the read and the watch.
I meant to see that one, but I never did.
I can't remember if I've seen it.
I feel like it just seems so familiar. Like, I almost feel like James and I might have gone to the movie theater to see that movie, but obviously it wasn't that memorable. So maybe we didn't. Maybe that was like one of our rule outs.
It was 2011.
We're like, we're going to see this or we're going to see that, and maybe we ended up not seeing it. I honestly don't remember.
It's been 12 years.
I feel like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey? I don't know. I feel like that was kind of like a, not under the radar as a film adaptation, but because people like the movie. But I just feel like it's an older movie, so a lot of like our generation /
I've never seen
generations aren't going to see it, and it's so good.
It is. It's an amazing film.
It's an amazing movie.
Is this like a black and white movie, or no? It's not
that old.
Okay,
it's not that old, but
from the 70s.
It was just really well done. It was really good book adaptation. So like
Mhm.
if you read the book, it sticks to the
Yes.
book very well. The movie's really, really well done. I think
Mhm.
I feel like it's underrated, just in that regard, I think. And also I just think because it is older, like people just don't think to watch it, and they should,
Yeah.
because it's pretty good.
So because you explained that the way you did, I'm letting you off the hook. I was about to talk about how there's no way this is a hidden gem because it won like 5 Academy Awards the year that it came out. But that's fair. It maybe is a hidden
Well,
gem
that's what I, because like,
for a
yeah,
modern audience.
that's what Michael said. He's like, I don't think it's a hidden gem. I was like, honestly, Michael, I haven't even watched it, nor have like,
Yeah.
obviously, I actually, I don't even know if I mean, I feel like I knew it was made into a movie, but like, I've never had an inkling to watch it, type thing, if that makes sense. So I
That's
feel
fair. I
like
mean,
it
we
could be a
definitely should
hidden
watch
gem.
it if you're interested. It's
It's a super
one
good
of 3
movie.
movies in of all time that have won all 5 major categories at the
Hmm.
Academy Awards.
Oh wow,
But just
okay.
because a movie wins awards doesn't mean that it's
Well,
not
actually,
currently underrated.
I feel like for most parts, though, the academies, especially back then, like they were for the hoity-toity movies that like nobody freaking watched, because it's not just like the movies of the people, you know, like they're not like blockbuster movies and stuff that
They're looking at
normally get
art.
nominated.
This was made in like 1975, and I feel like if
Yes.
I polled 100 of my peers in our age group,
Right.
I would say that like I would be shocked. I might actually do that just to try it. But like I just feel like people don't watch it. They don't think to
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah.
So I think it's underrated in that regard.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with
Sure.
that assessment. So
It's a great
yeah.
book and a great movie.
My other one I think is a hidden gem is the book Perfume and the movie Perfume, which is weird because like the book is so good, and I always wonder like how. And it's not that I wonder because the movie came out I think when I was still young, so little Barbara wasn't like wondering, hey, how are they gonna make this into a movie? But but like the book is just kind of like one of those that it's like very internal, and it's very, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just very like you're describing scent essentially. So like how do you get that across in the movie? Because it's like it's easy to paint it the picture in a book, but like for a movie where you don't get that sense of smell in a movie, like it would be so hard to do. And oh my gosh, I think the movie did a wonderful job of explaining, and it's such a creepy read and a movie, and I feel like the movie got the tone of the book really well, where you're just like, okay bro, like you killing people and wrapping them in this little thing so you could get their scent out, and it's so weird. And I think the movie did a very good job of adapting the tone of the book, I think, even though obviously it kind of misses, like I said, that description of what he's describing, the smell and of making the perfume and stuff. It's
Okay,
overall,
well,
if you've
when I
never read
was
the book, it's creepy as F, and it's such a good book. And I probably should not have read it when I was that age, but there's a lot of those. And, you know, I'm so happy that my parents never put like a, hey, you can't read this, because I don't know. I can't talk with crap. It's not like they help me at all vocab wise when I'm speaking to people, because I'm like, oh, blah, blah, blah. But like, I don't know. I enjoyed that my parents never said, oh, no, you can't read that book. Like, my mom never cared. I definitely should have read that as a kid, but it's such a good book. So if you haven't read it, you should
I
definitely
feel like when
read
I
it.
saw Perfume on your list, I had no clue what it was about, and you describing it, I'm shook.
It's a
It's
really
good.
good
It's
movie.
a really good book, and
I've
I'm gonna
read
have
the
to
it's
read
book.
it.
creepy. It's such a creepy, like the main character. I mean, he's the killer. Like he's such a weird dude, man. But it's so good. I really enjoy it. And I feel like it. Even the book itself, a lot of people haven't even heard of, and so like the movie, then really.
And the last thing we're going to talk about in this episode is an adaptation that we have not seen yet, but it is on our to watch list, or maybe an adaptation we did see and we wanted to read the book.
Yeah, there's a lot of these for me where I've either haven't read the book or seen the movie, or read the book and haven't seen the movie. Like obviously the one that we just talked about, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but I have seen Dune, and the latest one, not like the, I don't even know, like 1970s one where everyone says it was freaking god awful movie, but like the latest one, obviously with like Timothy Chalamet, or however you say his name.
Just
I
Chalamet.
really, whatever. I really liked the movie, and I'm excited for the second one, even though the movie was a little slow, but like everyone says, like, because they split the first book into like two, so obviously you're not going to get like the books go like a little bell, it's like woo conflict, and then so they kind of hit like that point right there in the movie and they cut off. But like I'm excited for the second movie. It makes me really want to read the book. It is a bit daunting because it's quite large, but I'm fine with that. But I just need to actually read the damn thing because everyone says it's an amazing book and stuff. And I don't mind sci-fi. It's not really like my go-to genre like Michael's, but this one had me like really excited. I just heard it's like every fantasy or sci-fi books, there's just a lot of people and a lot of weird names, and it's just like who, why?
And it's like thousands of pages long.
Yeah, but that's
I mean,
definitely
it's not
one.
thousands of pages.
Nah, it's a
long.
thick.
If you,
it's a thick bitch.
it's
though.
like 400 pages or something.
Rating.
Is it only 4? It's
not very
shorter
long.
then.
Yeah, it's
That's
not. It's
short.
not that
That's
long. I mean,
nothing.
the whole series is quite long if you're going to read all of it. But the first book.
See, that's another thing. Like, it's a commitment, man, with the series, and ain't nobody got time for that.
Well, I'm going to keep the sci-fi train going because what I picked first was The Three Body Problem by, and if I mispronounce this, I apologize, Cixin Liu is a Chinese author. The book is awesome.
Heard of this? The book.
You guys are going to get to read it for the podcast.
Barbara, we have heard of it because Michael keeps pushing us to move it up the podcast list.
It's one of those.
It's happening. It's after this next episode. You'll both get to read it.
Oh my god, is it really? Oh.
Yes, it's literally the next one. It's a great book. I really enjoyed it. It's a really interesting story, and I'm really, really, really excited, and also a little bit trepidatious because Netflix is making the adaptation. So I'm hoping it's going to be awesome, and I'm hoping it's successful so that they can adapt the entire
Is
series.
it a movie or TV series from Netflix?
TV series from Netflix.
Well, we all know how Netflix is shoddy at doing everything, so I wouldn't hold my breath.
That's why I'm hesitant. But I'm excited to see it adapted. I think it'll be cool to see the story on the screen. So
literally don't recall this being on the list.
Yes, well, I just recall it because Michael was like nonchalantly whenever we were discussing like the order of like what we were going to read in the next couple of months, because we had to like judge it based on size of books and different things. And I just remember him being like, I think Three Body Problem would be a good one for there. And then we would be like, well, why don't we just do this one or this one? No, I really think Three Body Problem would be a good one there.
Maybe it was so traumatizing I blocked it out. I don't remember this whatsoever. But
so first off on my list is apparently there have been lots of rumors about Harry Potter adaptations, right? There's going to be one according to.
It's not a rumor. They've announced that they're making.
No, I know. I'm saying over the years.
Oh,
over like the last 5 or 6 years, there have been many different rumors where it's like there's going to be a Harry Potter TV series, and then like everybody gets super excited, and then everybody's like, "Psych, not happening." So they finally announced it, but there's actually.
I'm not excited for that.
I'm excited for it just because it's more content from the Harry Potter universe. I think that it either has a really good opportunity to like be cool, or it's just going to really fall on its face. But we shall see. I'm excited just because of curiosity more than anything.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. Just because like that's not what I grew up with. I grew up with the movies. I can't see other actors portraying these characters. And it hasn't even been that long. Like it's only been 20 years since I think the first one came out. So it's just maybe, I don't know. I feel like that's too soon because like we still remember it. Like it would be one thing if our kids were talking about this when they were like 20.
Even our kids are, I mean, they're going to be watching the movies.
Our kids, like I'm talking about, I have children. I do not. So
I do. And my kids will still watch the original movies, right? But this is going to be a TV series. So I think that like the opportunity that it has, even though the casting, I might have trouble getting past that, I don't know, is that it has an opportunity to like really, I don't know, cover things that the movies that you just can't fit into like
the
movies. And so I've always said like if they ever make a remake or anything like that I'll watch it, just because I mean I would watch anything that is of that universe just to have it.
I don't know. I feel like they should just focus on other things, like stuff that we actually want as fans. But that's just me. Anyways, we're not going to get into this because I could like talk about this for years. So
I think
you guys could do a future bonus episode talking entirely about the Harry Potter TV series.
And I also feel like that like they should do like a Marauders kind
That's
of
what I'm
like
saying.
off, like not
Yeah.
necessarily remake that, but anyway.
No, but like, yeah,
Moving
like I
on.
said. Anyways, we can talk. Yeah.
The other one that I had that is out right now that I just haven't had time to watch yet is A Man Called Otto, or like A Man Called Ova, or however you say it, by Frederick Bachman. I loved that book. I love all of his writing. I've heard really good things about the adaptation, so I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, that's a book that I actually, after reading the book we just read, I want to read and then watch the movie. So
It's a good book.
That's on my TBR, my ever growing TBR.
Right. Mine has grown just since we started podcasting.
Mine just keeps growing. There's no like dwindling of it. There's just too many good books out. My other one is A Discovery of Witches, and I heard the TV series is really good. I haven't watched it, nor have I read the books either. And I think it's called Also. Yeah, it's on, I don't know what TV, like it's unknown. Like I don't think it was a huge, like it's not one of the main streaming services or anything like that. So I don't think, but like I love witches, so like it just it just like the premise of it sounded really cool, and it was the TV series that I was like, oh, that sounds really good. And then I saw that it was based off of a book series, so I was like, ooh. And I think it's one of those that people said it's different than the books, but that they feel like the differences that they made in the TV series they really enjoyed. So it's one of those. So it's one of those that I want to check out.
That does sound interesting. I won't lie. So I'm down to check that out as well with you. So the next one I picked is similar to Barbara with what she said. It's one I haven't seen, nor have I read the book, but I really want to watch the movie. And then if I like the movie, I'll probably read the book. It's called The Pale Blue Eye. It's a newer movie featuring Christian Bale and the actor who played Dudley Dursley, playing a young cadet Edgar Allan Poe in the story.
I've literally never heard of this either. Where are you getting these?
This is one that's been on my radar for a while, actually.
Oh, okay.
So The Pale Blue Eye is a story. Christian Bale is a detective trying to solve the murder of a cadet at West Point, and a young man helps him, and that young man just happens to be young Edgar Allan Poe.
This is not based off of a true story, right? It's just random.
I think it's fictional. I don't think it's based off of a true story. But I love Edgar Allan Poe, and I think that the idea of that would be really interesting. And so I'm going to watch the movie, and if I like the movie, then I'll read the book as well.
Shouldn't you read the book and then watch the movie? Because that's how I like doing order. I prefer that way.
Right, Michael, that would be a sin to not read the book first if you're planning on watching the film.
Yeah, that's why I haven't watched The Discovery of Witches.
I may not read the book, though, and I definitely want to see the movie. So,
well, I mean, not everybody has that, like, where they care.
You know what? I'm not going to bash them for it. It's what it is.
I know people that will literally read the last chapter of a book before they commit to buying it. I'm like,
oh my gosh, that's just ruining it.
I know. So there
what
are just
psychopath are you hanging out with? You need to excommunicate them from your life.
I don't. They're not on actually. They're an acquaintance, but
okay. Well.
Anyway, the one that I didn't know was being made into an adaptation that's now on my list is Lessons in Chemistry. I've not read the book yet, but it's on my shelf upstairs. I bought the book.
Did you really? That book I feel like it keeps getting shoved down my throat. Like everywhere I see, it's like, do you want to see this? Do you want to read Lessons in Chemistry? Do you want to buy Lessons in Chemistry? I was like, what is with this book? Sell me on it.
Supposedly it's going to be really good. I don't know. So I hosted a book swap party a while back where everybody just brings a book, either new, used, whatever you want. And then like, it's kind of like a Dirty Santa type thing, gift exchange. And so I actually ended up with it during that. And it's been on my TBR list anyway. Haven't read it yet. But then when I was doing some looking at books that are already on my TBR list to see if they might be being made, it says that I think it's at October.
Oh wow!
And I think it's Netflix. It's either
it is Netflix.
I don't remember if it's this October or next October, but I think it was like at the fall. So I gotta have it read by then. But
yeah,
supposedly it's a good book. I don't know. It's got a lot of hype around it, so like my expectations are high. So sometimes when books are hyped up, it's like harder to read them because you're like expecting so much.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
You'll have to let me know if I should pick it up because my Kindle just loves freaking advertising it to me.
I will let you know if I think it's something you might like. And my other one was All the Light We Cannot See because I'm reading that right now. I like the book so far. I'm not done with it yet.
Yeah, I heard that's supposed to be good.
I have one other one as well, called Butcher's Crossing. It's a movie that premiered this year. It's not going to be available for us regular people to see for a while. I believe it premiered at Cannes, so it's making the festival circuit, but it's not available to watch outside of that. Butcher's Crossing is a Western story. It is about a Ivy League graduate who seeks to experience the American West and goes to Kansas, actually, to a town in Kansas where a lot of buffalo hunting is happening. And he joins up with a group of buffalo hunters there to try to get the Western experience. And it doesn't go as planned. But it sounds really interesting. This is one that I probably would like to read the book before I see the movie, because the book does sound really interesting, and I'm not going to be able to watch the film anytime soon. But nevertheless, one that I am definitely excited about.
Yeah, never heard of it either.
It's not really your genre, so that lines up.
I don't like Westerns. Yeah, no. I mean, that's not true, but kind of.
I would say that's true. I would say you generally don't, and there are some exceptions.
So there's exceptions. I read The Gunslinger from Stephen King, and that's kind of fantasy /
That's more
Western.
fantasy sci-fi.
It's fantasy. No, it's just sci-fi. No, there's no sci-fi. It's fantasy, but like there is he's called The Gunslinger, so there is guns. Does that count? And perhaps somewhat of a Westerner.
No, it doesn't. But the fact that you liked, but you like Django Unchained. You enjoyed that film.
That's not considered a Westerner.
That is a Western. Yes.
Oh, really?
And then what was the movie on Netflix that we watched that you really liked as well with Idris Elba?
I don't know, bro. Why are you asking me? I don't know what you've been talking about. What movie with Idris Elba?
The Harder They Fall.
Oh.
Idris Elba and Jonathan Majors was in it as well.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really good movie. You liked that one too. So you sometimes I talk you into watching a Western with me, but not very often. So yeah, that's us. We talked about some really cool adaptations that we love. We talked about some adaptations that maybe didn't quite make the mark, and we talked about some adaptations we're excited to see. So as you're listening to this, as we're getting to the end, if there's an adaptation that we didn't talk about, you need to rush off to our Instagram. Let us know. What do we miss? I'd love to hear it. But like always, make sure you're following Badass Literature for free in your favorite podcast app. Give us a rating and leave us a review if they allow you to. Also, don't forget to be following us on social media. Our handle in both Instagram and Facebook is @BadassLitPod.
Have feedback about today's episode? Contact us by writing to badassliteraturesociety@gmail.com. You can also send us a DM or leave a comment on Instagram or Facebook.
As always, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. I'm Michael.
I'm Barbara.
And I'm Lauren.
Bye.
Bye.
Am I the only one that has another hit? Because if so, I'll just do mine real quick and then we can move on to Missy's.
No, I have hits. I think.
Wait, is the hit if the movie is better than the book?
Yes.
I have another hit.
You do? Okay, then go ahead. Sorry, I missed that. Go ahead.
Oh, does your sister not have one?
No, mine. Okay. I was confused.
Oh, so do you want me to go again then now?